welcome back. Happy New Year. It is the year 2026. This is our first show of the year. This is the 343 team. We had all four members. Jason somehow vanished. Hopefully he comes back. But yeah, this is a new year and compliments of the season to everybody in the chat. It would be amazing if you could just get an early like on the video, subscribe, share this video to any chat that you're in. And yeah, after all of those pleasantries, Ziad Parker, Riaz Parker, nice to have you guys back. How was the break?
Yeah,
Can
good.
rock paper scissors?
No, I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, don't worry. The break was good, man. Nice and warm weather in Cape Town. Which Riaz is this now? It's a new and improved. It's 2026 Riaz. So we'll see how that goes, I suppose. But yeah, it's been good. How you been, AF?
Not too bad, eh? Break was good. A bit down about going back to work on Friday, but yeah, we're making the last
Start on
couple of days
Friday.
count.
That seems odd, eh?
I had to use my leave days up before it expired, so unfortunately, I didn't have one extra day. But yeah, that's how things go. Ziad, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good, man. I wanted to give Riaz the floor, since he got the question in the chat. He's looking nice and fresh, so it's a positive sign for all of us, I think, if we follow his lead.
Yeah, no,
No one needs
definitely.
to follow my lead. You'll just keep on going down.
I'm surprised nobody made a comment about the haircut, but we'll leave that one for the comment section.
Let's
for
not prompt the
whoever enjoys
chat.
And just with that, we have Jason back, so he'll be joining us in a couple of seconds. But while he's doing that, we have Ziad that is going to give us a bit of a roundup of the AFCON tournament thus far, how it's been, how it's shaped up, and how the final eight is looking.
Yeah, look, I'll go straight into the final eight. Jason, welcome. Just like Bafana, you made a late run into the box, but it wasn't enough. And speaking of Bafana, they lost to Cameroon in the round of 16. Because they lost in the round of 16. But you're going to prove us wrong. So Cameroon beat South Africa 2-1 to advance to the final eight, where they're going to play Morocco in the quarterfinals. So host Morocco, they scraped through. Tanzania were really strong. They fought hard. But a controversy at the end where I thought Tanzania did enough to earn a penalty, but the refereeing seemed to favor the hosts. So Morocco escaped there, come through 1-0. They do have the leading striker in the tournament thus far, in Brahim Diaz. He's got 4 goals in the tournament thus far, so he's doing quite well. Cameroon have been a bit off. I'm sure all of you have watched the Bafana game against Cameroon, where I thought Cameroon were quite lucky to come through. They took advantage of the chances they got. And if they do want to beat Morocco, they're pretty much up against 12. So they're going to have to do a lot better than they've been doing so far. So that's one quarterfinal. On the same side of the draw, we have Algeria versus Nigeria. So Algeria were made to sweat by DRC. DRC is very good. They're very compact. They play well as a team, and they made Algeria really work. They took them to extra time, and then Adil Bulbina scored the winner late. Riyad Mahrez has been in decent form, but he's not playing to the levels we're used to seeing from him. And they're up against it with Nigeria, who've scored 12 goals thus far in the tournament, literally sweeping everyone aside. We saw something interesting in the round of 16 where Ademola Lookman scored 2 goals. No, he scored 1 goal and Osimhen scored 2. And Lookman went through 1 goal and didn't pass to him for his hat-trick. And then there was a big fight and Osimhen walked off. And that's probably why none of the big clubs have swooped in for him. It's these type of outbursts that happen. But Lookman has been the better player. He's got 3 goals, 4 assists so far in the tournament. So he's been one to watch. What do you guys make of those 4, Jason? Between those 4 teams, anything you've seen that's been interesting?
Yeah, firstly, hello, welcome back. New year, new me. I'm gonna be a bit late sometimes. Yeah, I think, to be honest, the Nigeria thing was probably the most glaring thing. Osimhen known to generally throw his toys out of the cot, but on a grand stage like that, I think he's back to Turkey. yeah, I felt that Cameroon were not the strongest and we just didn't turn up. So yeah, there's definitely an avenue there. Although in saying that, Morocco also left it late, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in their round of 16 game where I think Tanzania ran them close. So yeah, I think there's a lot to take from those games, but yeah, we would have had it tough if we had to play against Morocco in Morocco, and they probably had that Prince walk out again and wave to the fans. It would probably galvanize the crowd. So yeah, no, it's been an exciting tournament thus far.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I think that the final 8 that we have, it's really the cream of the crop, some of the best teams in Africa. So that's one side of the draw. We will see the winner of Morocco versus Cameroon take on the winner of Algeria versus Nigeria for a spot in the grand final. On the other side of the draw, we have Egypt versus Ivory Coast. Both teams kind of cruised into the quarterfinals, I would say. Egypt flattered a bit by the 3-1 scoreline. They did go to extra time against Benin, but too much quality, and Mohamed Salah scored again. He scored in every game for them thus far, I think. So he's been doing really well that he's played. So he scored 3 goals. He didn't play the last game of the group stage because qualification was secured, so they rested him. On the other side, against Ivory Coast, we have the star Amad Diallo, who's been the best player in the tournament. Freed up from being in that Manchester United team. He's just gone. I think he's got 3 man of the match awards so far. So he's going to come back with a lot of confidence. Hopefully, we'll touch on United later, obviously, but whoever's coming in to manage that team has to make sure that they capitalize on his form, because for me, he's been the player of the tournament thus far. He's got 3 goals and an assist, and he's literally carried Ivory Coast to this point. And he's going to have to do more of that if they are to beat Egypt, who do have a bit of an advantage considering the location being Morocco. They do have a bit of the crowd and stuff behind them. So interesting with that one. And then the last game, last quarterfinal, for me, the best one, Mali versus Senegal. And the reason I say that is because Senegal was my pre-tournament favorite. I really like their squad. Even though they did suffer a bit of a scare with Sudan scoring first in the round of 16, but they had too much quality and ended up winning by 3-1. Just some of the names that are in their squad, it's insane. Sadio Mane, Iliman Ndiaye, Nico Jackson, Idrissa Gana Gueye, Papis Gueye. Koulibaly was suspended for the round of 16, but he'll be back for the next game, and he's their captain. They've got the West Ham left back, Al Malik Haji Diouf as well, who's West Ham are missing because he's West Ham's most creative player, even though he's coming in from left back. And then they have the Chelsea legend, Edouard Mendy, in goal. So very strong team that I'm backing to go all the way. And then Mali, no real star players. I mean, we all know Basuma from the great Tottenham Hotspur. He's probably the most well-known player from Mali, but they play more as a unit. They try to take the games deep. But they don't really have that star power, so I don't see them going further than this. So Senegal's my favorite to advance and win the trophy. AF, who do you have winning the AFCON out of these 8 teams?
You see, I'm in a bit of a catch-22. I want Amad Diallo to lift the trophy, but I also want him back in Man United. So I'm gonna put that selfishness away, and I'm gonna go for Ivory Coast to go all the way. And if I can recall, like about 10 years or so ago, you used to be a Ivory Coast supporter as well, right, Ziad?
Yeah, but they don't have Drogba anymore, so I'm done. Tap out.
That's fair. That's fair.
Switch to Senegal. Actually, if I was supporting anyone, obviously South Africa's first, but I like Cameroon because I work with someone who is from Cameroon, so it makes it a bit fun. But yeah, I think for me, I'm with Senegal. When the World Cup comes around, any African team, and we support the continent, and we celebrate whoever it is from the continent, we're all Africa. So yeah, that's a bit of a cop out, but is what it is.
100%.
Speaking of cop out, Diaz, who's winning the AFCON?
Me, I'm gonna go with a basic answer and say Morocco. I'll just go with a basic answer. Standard. Best thing I can do.
Nice.
Diaz looks like a Brahim Diaz stan.
Yeah. I do like Brahim Diaz. I'm not gonna lie. I do like him a lot. But I just think that it's like you said, every team plays against 12 people. It looked that way against in the Bafana game against Egypt as well. But so I think it's difficult for any team to kind of go there and do a job. But Cameroon is going to be tough. I mean, we should have beaten Cameroon, but we didn't put our chances away. So I think they'll come through that Morocco wall, and we'll see how they go further in the competition.
Yeah. Jason, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Nah, I was just going to talk a little bit about the Egypt Ivory Coast. I think that was a repeat of, I'm not mistaken, could be like the 2006-2008 final maybe, where the game was absolutely stacked. I think both Toure brothers were playing. I think Solomon Kalou, Didier Drogba, and it was up in Egypt. Went to penalty shootout back in the day. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting to see that full circle. Obviously, both teams not at all to the same strength level that they previously had. So that's obviously a new thing to kind of deal with. But I have to agree with Ziad. Amad Diallo has been exceptional. I think there's the freedom, the shackles, Amorim not shouting at him and not being too close to him as well. So that's always nice. And then, I think more, while we can talk about how it was very disheartening in the way that Bafana went out, I think it's maybe a good marker as to what we've shown and where we can be, especially with the World Cup year coming up. And not World Cup year coming up, we're in a World Cup year. Going into a 48-man tournament, I think if we play a bit better than we maybe showed in some of the group games and in that round of 16 game, I think we can make it pretty decently. So that's, just a little bit of forward planning. So,
Some eye of the tiger stuff. I think you need to be giving the team talks moving forward.
Perhaps, but the only Belgian that I like is actually a beer. So I don't think I'll be in the same room as you, Bros.
I love that. I love that. Okay, and I think we can wrap that one up and move over to our next segment, and that is the sacking of a couple of managers. We're going to be starting on the blue half of London, and that is the sacking of Enzo Maresca over at Chelsea. It seems like Bluco, Todd Bowley, and his gang of friends over there, they were too much for Enzo Maresca to handle in a way. Ziad, coming from the knowledge of American sport and American football, American baseball, all of these things, Todd Bowley, he is on the board of the LA Dodgers. How do you think the decision was made for something like this?
Well, the Dodgers are a lot better than Chelsea. I'll tell you that much. We have the same manager for the last 10 years, I think, with no change. So it's hard to compare. I don't think he has any say in how that organization is run, to be honest. But with Chelsea, I think ultimately it just came down to the difference of opinion. He came in, I'm assuming, knowing that there's going to be a high turnover of players, and he probably thought that with him winning, he'd be able to push a little bit more and get more power and more responsibility. But there's no way for that to happen in the way Chelsea want to operate. And for me, the main thing about Chelsea is that I think their goal is to make money. It's not really to manage a club the way we used to clubs being managed traditionally. And I think they're achieving their goal of making money, because last year they posted a profit of, I think, more than 120 million pounds. So I don't think much is going to change with regards to their strategy. And if you talk out against them, or if you want too much power, then they're just going to move on to the next guy who's willing to, I suppose, just take the players that's given to him and tell him to go to work. And that's where Rosinho comes in.
Yeah, I mean, he comes from the internal organization, if you can put it that way, coming from Strasbourg, another team owned by Bluco. Jason, winning 2 trophies in the span of 2 months last year, you'd think that would have given him some extra power, showing him that this is what I can do with the players that I have now. give me the players that I need to take me further, to win the Premier League, to try and win the Champions League, to do bigger things. Shouldn't he be able to have that sort of clout now that he showed them that this is what he can do with like a minimum purse, or I can't even say minimum purse because he spent what, $1 billion in, or not
Yeah.
him, but the club has spent $1 billion in the past like 3 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think those 2 trophies definitely should have given him at least a longer time. But again, alluding to Ziad's point, he's talking about ownership here, and these guys, and we're talking about a strategy where they want to maximize profit, and the football aspects are completely ignored. And it's extremely contrasting, obviously, if you look at the Arsenal model and this model here. Like, we haven't had many, if any, trophies in the last 6 years, but there's owners that have backed the process, and you can see that we're on the better side of it. Now, when those trophies come, it will suddenly seem like the whole project was meant to be this way. But Chelsea got those 2 trophies. You'd think that they were going to push on, but yeah, I think he was definitely let down by the ownership, and then he himself doesn't help his case. It's also, I think what we'll see a lot of is when maybe we see a manager who sees he can't hack it, or not hack it fully, but he's having limited success with board and things like that. Speak out, get out of a contract, get a big payout, rest a bit, and then come back. I think we will see a lot more of that, especially when there's more involvement from owners. I was reading somewhere where they said the best run clubs and the best run businesses and things like that are when the owners don't really get involved. As soon as the people with the money start getting involved in the decision making and stuff, and they're not really involved in a way where you consult those that are on the ground level, I think that's where you start to see it. And I think the football life mirrors work life, and I think many people can probably attest to if a company has a manager that's like interfering or not interfering, there's 2 sides to the coin. So yeah, I'm a bit shocked that they sacked him, especially with the way that they praised him and the way Chelsea fans speak about him. But yeah, it's also not completely uncommon with the way that the new ownership has gone, and even the Abramovich ownership. Chelsea are extremely fickle.
Yeah, and like Ziad said, like they've now moved on to Liam Rosenior. He's managed at Hull, he's managed at Derby in the Championship. He was at Strasbourg,
Yeah.
who's like I said, part of the organization. His Strasbourg team haven't had a win in the last 7 games, so he's coming with little to no momentum to another team. I don't know if he's going to be in charge tonight for Fulham, or if Caleb McFarlane's going to take over. How do you think that he's going to try to install his sort of philosophy, his sort of strategy to these players who know that they've basically become world champions 6 months ago? And this guy coming in who hasn't really won anything, he's coming in to tell them what to do.
I don't think it's about that. I think it's more about the fact that now the board have a puppet and that will just do whatever they want him to do. And that's going to be the theme of what we're going to talk about today, is the board having issues, like Jason said, that they just want someone to kind of they get involved in the footballing aspect, and the best line clubs are not like that. The best line clubs let the footballing side, or the footballing arm, get done with what they need to do, and that's how they win stuff. And I think the common denominator today will be board involvement in what the club is trying to do, because I mean it's ridiculous, especially at Chelsea, where they've been doing well, but the main issue is that they haven't strengthened where Maresca wanted to strengthen in the summer, and they backed him by buying players, but I mean, he needs a centre back that's going to command the game, that's going to make sure that everybody is doing the right things, that's going to make sure that they don't lose from winning positions, that they don't slip up with the mindset of the game on the field. And that's what you can see clearly. That's what they're actually missing at the moment. Never mind buying 3 wingers and 2 strikers, whatever else they need, or whatever else they wanted. They needed that kind of calm, that Thiago Silva of the past, in the middle of the defense, to kind of calm everyone down and make sure everybody's knowing what their job is at all points for the 95 minutes. And as soon as Maresca kind of was done with it, I guess, as soon as he was over being the puppet, he decided to speak out, whatever the case may be. And like Jason said, they're fickle, the Chelsea board. As soon as there's an issue, you're gone. As soon as you don't win something, you're gone. And this guy has won something, like you were alluding to as well, AF. Like, he's won 2 trophies in the last couple of months. And all of a sudden, you think that you have kind of something in the bank for you to kind of now, present to the board and be like, look, I won you something with the stuff that you gave me. Now give me something that I need, or so that we can prove that we can actually make a run at the title, which is the problem. Arsenal is a great example of that. They believed in Arteta. It took them 5-6 years. They still haven't won anything, but you can see that they're on a better trajectory than what these clubs are now, that are going to keep firing their managers and going to a same cycle of absolute rubbish, unfortunately. Even though Chelsea have won something, they're still in a hole. Chelsea is that team that, even though they can be in any hole, they can be in a hole 6 feet under and they can still win something. But that doesn't mean that the club is in good hands. Do you know what I mean? So it's weird to see. And this new coach is going to come in. He's going to be the puppet, and they're going to hope that he's going to be able to keep them in a Champions League spot and in the Champions League itself. And if not, he'll be gone by the end of the season. If he's in the Champions League spot, even if he's 4th or 5th, and he gets to like the knockouts of the Champions League, they'll keep him because he's the puppet.
Yeah. And like, if he's within those spots, I think that's all that they care about right now.
Which is the problem.
I don't think trophies are high on Luca's list, and it's more just about trying to, like, I saw this tweet where somebody compared Chelsea to a hedge fund, and that is, like, if you think about it, they're buying players on cheap, trying to develop them a bit, and then sell them for more money. They bought Garnacho for 40 million from Man United. There's I think in about like a year or year and a half, they probably get north of 50 million for him. So they're just going to try to get like profit margins off all of these players, and that's all that they care about. They increasing the value of the players and they're making more money. But yeah, I think we can stick a pin in the Maresca talk and move on to Diaz. I'm going to stick with you on this one, the Amorim sacking, and I can see the sadness in your eyes. I know that you loved him more than I did, so I'm going to let you speak from the heart over here. Tell us what you thought about that whole thing on Monday morning.
Yeah, disappointed but not surprised. I'm, like you said, I think I loved him more than you did. I think United are just trying to make me not love them. Like, he was the one that brought me to soften on United, because obviously I used to hate United, and now I loved Amorim, so I kind of softened on United a little bit. And they just really don't want me. They just really don't want me to like them at all. But it was unsurprising. It was unsurprising because of what he said. And but once again, it's a similar, like I said earlier, it's a similar kind of identity to the Chelsea thing. Is that, he made a big fuss about the fact that they need a midfielder. They bought him a striker that still hasn't scored anything basically for the season. And they asked him to move from a 3-4-3 situation. He didn't move, but he adapted. He played a fluid 4-4-3-3, 3-4-3 situation.
For one half, though.
Yeah, but at other times you could see off the ball he was playing a 4-4-2 situation, and on the ball he was playing 3-4-3. So he was trying to be adaptable, just to kind of fit in with what people want him. I don't know, how can you tell a manager what is best for him and his football club? He brought the football club from 15th to 6th in Champions League contention. And now, because you aren't happy that he's speaking out with what he needs, you're going to fire him, which is ridiculous. And this goes back to what Jason said about the board getting involved. It makes no sense. And now United are going to be... that is true, James. But now United are going to be in this endless loop of the same thing. That doesn't change, which is the disappointing part. You need to break the cycle at some point, which I'm going to use Arsenal as an example because I think it's a great example. It's the Arsenals, the Manchester Cities, and the Liverpools. They they don't get themselves lost in the cycle. The last time Liverpool were lost in a cycle was before Jurgen Klopp, where they couldn't get it right and they trusted Klopp. They finished 8th in the first season of Klopp. They kept faith in him, and look what happened to them. Arsenal, same thing with Arteta. 6 years down the line, now they're going to win the Premier League. So, like, you need to stick with kind of your guns and make sure that you break the cycle, so that in the future your club is in a better position. These teams like Spurs, Chelsea, and United are never going to get there if they aren't like going to break the cycle at some point.
Yeah,
I think there's a.
Okay, go ahead, Jason.
No, go for it. Yeah, no, I was just going to say that there's obviously a switch in the way that football has changed to more of a money maker than it is the general football side of things.
Yeah.
Teams are wanting to make a profit quickly. They want to get the success, and it's this microwave success, right? So it works in the first 6 months, or maybe not 6 months, but rather, even with Maresca, even Amorim getting to the final, it's nice, but there's no solid foundation. So you build a house on a rock, or not on a rock, but on the where the wind can take it away. There's no solid foundation, and then any little breeze is gonna throw your thing off. It's not built properly. So you wanting this quick thing, and you also wanting people to be like servants, but then you also don't treat them well, and all of those points are exactly correct. I would like to also talk about AF. This might be after your point, but I want to talk about why everybody needs to get Alex Ferguson's blessing. I think that's the thing. Too many people are consulting Fergie, and that's why his
100%.
ghost won't leave Old Trafford. But that's also a separate point. Maybe Ziad has something to say more on United, because he's stewing. I can see the fumes.
Yeah, I'll let
I'm
Ziad go
just,
first,
I'm
and then
just
I'll end it
listening,
off.
bruh. I'm just listening. Look, at the end of the day, United's literally in the same spot they were a couple of years ago when they fired Solskjaer, and now they're in talks with Solskjaer again. So if they hire Solskjaer again, they fired him because he wasn't good enough to take them to the next level, and now they're talking about bringing him back to steer the club to the next phase, whatever the case is. And
He loves the club.
I saw a comment from Yasin, which I agree with. They just don't learn, man. It's literally the same thing every time, and it's that cycle where they didn't want Amorim to come in late because the opportunity was there, and they wanted to get him in early because they didn't want to do the interim thing again and then have to hire the guy if he does a good job, which they did with Solskjaer, right?
Yeah.
And they tried to avoid that, and by trying to avoid that, they ended up achieving exactly the same thing. But I'm not gonna go on too much about that. All I'm gonna say is this, right? For me, it doesn't matter what United do, to be honest, because between the Glazers and INEOS, it's just extreme dysfunction. This INEOS came in and they cut costs. They did a whole lot of things to save money, but then they buy players who have no resale value, right? Like Xerxes, you can't make a profit on him. At least Chelsea are buying players that they can sell on and make a profit. And, you can see a bit of a strategy in that way. And I think with United, if the board keep on doing what they're doing, then it's just going to be a similar thing after each other, man. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real way for them to break free. They need some sort of clarity from the decision makers that filter down into who the manager is and
what the
it just needs to be that alignment. You know what I mean? Okay, I don't care about your system. I think managers need to be a little fluid, based on who the opposition is, based on which players you have available. You might need to change a few things. You can't be as stubborn as Amorim was. If you want to, you need plan A, plan B, plan C. You play plan A as much as you can, but you need to have a plan B and C and use the players that you have at your disposal, which I think any manager they bring in will use the squad a bit better. And for me, the final point, I guess, is I just wasn't an Amorim fan, but I didn't like looking to the side and seeing him on the floor half the time like Bielsa. It just didn't inspire confidence in me. And this is not from a perspective as a fan or opposition fan or a rival. It's from
you just a hater.
background and experience. Like when you as a group of players look to the bench, you want to be inspired or you want to get some sort
Yeah.
of confidence. And
Mm.
I like Bielsa, Yasin. I like Bielsa. Amorim, though, is not Bielsa, but he was trying to be like him, sitting there on the floor. And whenever they pan the camera to him, it just didn't look like a guy who was happy, who was
Yeah.
confident, who was, you know,
Yeah.
in the right space. And that
Yeah.
filtered through into the team and the way they played, unfortunately. So hopefully for the club, they make a good decision with whoever they put in there. And then I think honestly, it's in their best interest to wait till the World Cup ends
Yeah.
before they take a manager, because you're gonna have tons of people to choose from after the World Cup, right? You're talking about Nagelsmann. If England do bad, Tuchel's in the mix. You've
Yeah.
got Ancelotti. There's tons of managers who can come out of the World Cup. You also got Glasner, who's a free agent. You've got
Yeah.
Iriola, who might come free. There's Marco Silva. There's just a lot of guys. And yes, maybe Amorim will be a good coach one day somewhere, but it's not going to be at a club like Manchester United, and it
Yeah.
won't be at a club at the level of United in terms of popularity around the world. He's just not a coach for a big club.
Look, I think
And
that Amorim,
yeah,
like, he is a good coach. He is good at
Yeah,
what
but
he's
he might
trying
be a
to
good
do.
coach like tactically and stuff, but he can't handle the media. He
Yeah.
can't.
yeah,
He just
I
can't.
mean,
Look at him in his press
he's quite
conferences and stuff.
charismatic.
Are you telling me
Like,
that
he
guy
needs to
is
be.
going to be able to handle a Madrid or a Barca or a Chelsea or
Yeah.
a Liverpool? There is no way, unless they send
yeah.
someone else to talk to the media. He's not good.
Like, when he's not under pressure, then he handles the media really well. When the pressure gets to him, that's when you can see the cracks are starting
Yeah.
to show. But one of the points that I just wanted to make is, like, the last month or so of Man United, like, it was very frustrating as a fan, but everything that he did off the pitch. So I'm talking about with the squad, with the player culture, throwing out the players that were sort of toxic to the football club. I mean, that's something that we can never thank him enough for. He
They
stopped
can all come back, by the way.
they can, but I mean, Rashford has an obligation. But obviously, there's another stupid clause in there that says that Barcelona doesn't have to, like, abide by the obligation, and you can actually come back. But from what I've read from the Athletic, Laurie Whitwell, and all of these guys, there are reports coming out that Man United, the hierarchy, don't want Rashford back. They were the ones that actually wanted to send him out, and Amorim basically had to pave that way for him to get there. But yeah, I'm just really glad, like, he stopped that player power. He was very sort of, he stood his ground in his formation, which is, I guess it's something to admire, but also I've said this on so many episodes. Like, Ziad, you hosted once, and you asked me what I think about Amorim over the last few weeks, and I said that he's not adaptable, he's not flexible, and that's going to be his undoing, and that's exactly what happened. He had the opportunity to change, and he didn't. But I mean, it's all done now. Darren Fletcher is going to be in charge for tonight. Ole is going to come back with Michael Carrick, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to be like a co-manager thing, sort of Dunder Mifflin, Scranton
I
style.
think Johnny Evans as well in the
Assistant
mix.
to the regional manager.
Yeah. So it seems like we're going to have co-managers over there, but I mean, they're going to be co-coaches, because Man United doesn't have a manager anymore. They hire head coaches, because
But
the leadership division of Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Christopher Val, they're the ones that make these decisions now, and the manager or the coach doesn't have any input in that. So whoever they go
what
into a point
is
has to get on board with something like that.
what
Jay.
is yeah, so there's actually two questions to that. I think it's absolutely stupid. You have four people in the leadership who are not involved in the football. That's already setting yourself up, because what happens if two out of the four agree on something, the other two now they're sitting, or if three, is it who's
I
in the
think it takes a
majority?
majority vote.
Good Lord, that is
That's
disgusting.
what's happening at Chelsea as well.
Yeah.
Enzo
Yeah,
Maresca said he's lost three
well,
games. the medical
Yeah.
department chose his starting
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
He didn't even choose them. So
Yeah.
I
No,
think
And he has to
that's
take him off at a specific time as well.
yeah.
It's
Now look
crazy.
here. So that was it's probably one of the most confusing things, and probably why Man United will stay in the way that they are, the same way Chelsea, right? But what I was wanting to ask, because since Amorim's sacking, you have a lot of the former players coming out, and they're talking so specifically about Man United DNA, and we have to get them back to what Man United DNA was and stuff like that. Hey, if I want to ask you, what the hell is Man United DNA? Are you just talking about Fergie at the helm and him just bullying referees to give you guys decisions, or is it like what is this Man United DNA that everybody talks about?
I think it's just a word that they love to use. I don't think that they know it themselves. I think that they just use it because everybody uses it. I don't think anybody knows what Man United DNA is. Like, I mean, it's
The funny thing
fluid.
is,
It's
right?
people. Fair
I'll
enough.
jump in quickly.
Yeah.
This DNA thing, right? That those players talk about. Someone made a good point that they all talk like they are United, right? Because they were probably at United through one of the club's most successful periods. But a lot of the points that people make, and again, maybe a little bit before me, so if anyone else knows, please jump in. But essentially, all that class of 92, all those players came into a very good United team and environment. There was good experience. If I'm not mistaken, we're talking about players like Mark Hughes. There was, is it
Robson,
Brian Robson? There
Gary
was
Pallister.
Gary Pallister, Dennis Irwin. There was a couple other guys I'm missing now, but they were Paul Ince, I think, was at United at that stage, and there was Peter Schmeichel. So there was a lot of experience when they came into the team, and the team was trending up already. So they kind of just came, and at the end of the day, all teams, it's the same thing. There's timing. For teams to win, a lot of things have to go right. So when they talk about DNA and stuff, it's what they picked up from the academy first, because they were all together at the academy. But at the same time, they came into a first 11 that had similar principles and had experience to guide them through, whereas the current group don't have that. And even if you say you want to go back to it, for example, right, who do you want to keep in this current group of players that embody United? Or at least a spine that you want to build around? Is it Bruno Fernandes? Is it Lisandro Martinez? Who is it? And once you know who that is, then you can build around it. But if you don't know, it's easy to just say, oh, DNA. Then my bro, Scholes, Keane, this Owens must go put the boots on and come play or get involved in the coaching.
Yeah.
And we all know Gary Neville can't coach to save his life. That's why he built a media company. Darren Fletcher is at least taking it on. Solskjaer had the courage to take it on. A couple of these other guys, but all these guys who talk a lot, none of them are coming to Carrington and training the under 18s. Right? That's Fletcher. Rio Ferdinand's not coaching the youth.
Yeah.
With Gary Neville, he's not coaching the club. Roy Keane is not coaching the kids. So how are you supposed to get DNA or instill an ethos in the club if those players aren't giving back or aren't part of the club? And again, I can only talk for the club I support, where I look at who spent time with the youth at our club. Freddie Ljungberg. We've had Jack Wilshere in there recently. We have Per Mertesacker. We've got guys who know how we want to play or how we have played, and they're at least trying to bridge the gap. Whereas you don't see many Arsenal players in the media talking crap about the club, but they're not coming to help. So if you're going to talk a lot, and this is now for the United guys, obviously, if you're going to talk a lot like Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville and these guys, why don't you dust off your whistle and go help the club? Go coach the reserves, go do something to help get the club back to where you believe they should be. Instead of lambing on Sky Sports every day for 2 hours, talking with Jamie Carragher about what they should do. It makes no sense. You know what I mean?
I think that situation where they talk about the DNA is that it's that mentality thing, exactly what you were talking about now, Zed. It's a mentality thing. It's about choosing who you want, who has the good mentality around the club, and then building the club around that, and then you get that ethos from there. And I think it's perfect. Like, it's great advice that like they should be going to the under 18s. They should literally be going to the under 18s and then going to basically install
Yeah,
that.
spend time with the man. If you know what I mean, like spend time,
Get
come
that
train, come
mentality.
kick a few balls, just so the players know. I mean, we had recently Oxlade-Chamberlain came back to train with Arsenal, right? He didn't go train with Liverpool. Why?
Yeah.
Because he came up through that academy, so he felt comfortable coming back. So I think that's where you probably have the DNA thing, and it's not difficult for United. I think they can get it if they want to by having these guys around just a bit more in the training ground. You know, you're popping in, spending a week doing a skill sessions or something. There's ways to achieve it, and if they really want to, they will. But then we also hear that Paul Scholes can't get a ticket to a game, so that's a challenge in its own, I guess.
AF, I have a question for you quickly, just before we move on. One thing Yasin said earlier also is that that I agree with is that Amorim, just on the Amorim thing quickly, I'm just backtracking slightly because it was a good point, is that, I mean, the man's only 40. He's going to learn. He'll learn how to deal with the media and pressure situations. He'll get better at it. So I'm hoping for his sake that he will get better at it anyways. But yeah, that's just that point. And then there were two questions in the chat. One about centre backs, I think I saw. And then the other one I want to post to you, AF, is now that we're going back to this whole hoorah about 4-4-2 or 4-3-3 or 4 at the back system is what I mean. My question is, there's an issue at right wing, man. Talk to me a little bit about that. Once everybody
gets be a right wing back anymore.
No, at right wing. At right wing, there's an issue.
At right wing. So it's going to be a toss-up between Ahmed and Brian Mbeumo. Like, there's
whoever wins the AFCON gets to start.
But also, like, if I'm looking at the silver lining of it, like, we've been like crying out for quality depth in this team for years. So now the fact that like we finally have like a quality right wing that will be sitting on the bench, and there's rotation. We can rotate. It doesn't mean that Ahmed has to start every game or Brian Mbeumo has to start every game. And also Brian Mbeumo can play as a striker as well. So
you don't need to rotate. You play one game a week, my bro. Play your best 11 and what else are you playing?
From this weekend,
don't need to rotate.
It could be 2 games a week, guys.
Be careful.
2 games a week.
Oh my God.
Does United have grip in the FA Cup or what?
It's kind of hard, I guess, for you guys because you're gonna have someone play whatever tonight, right? Whatever Fletcher does, he does. But then someone else is gonna come and it's gonna be a bit different. So you're probably gonna have to wait a couple of games to see what they do, who they want to throw out there. And at the end of the day, players have to perform and they'll stay in the team. And if they don't perform, they must be taken out. Hopefully we see Fletcher and Fletcher tonight. That will be fun. I don't think it will happen, but it would be fun.
I think it was Ramiz in the chat that asked about all the centre backs. Like, I think we have 6 centre backs now altogether, and 2 positions a game. So we're gonna have to.
Yeah, but who's available? Are they all available? Because I know De Ligt was suffering.
There are 4 available. It's only De Ligt.
Maguire is also an auxiliary forward, so you actually have 5.5.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but then also if you look at other teams, you can play 4 centre backs across your back 4. It works. Plus, Lisandro Martinez has actually been really good in midfield. I like him in that spot because it frees up Bruno a bit more when he does come back from injury. I like when they play guys like that in midfield. So hopefully he gets a run there. Like with Chelsea, I love Reece James in midfield. I think he's amazing.
He's so
the way
good,
he does it. And his mentality, man, like the way he captains the team, the way he leads, he controls that whole team from front to back. And I think the best part to control the team is from that defensive midfield spot because he knows what's supposed to happen behind him and he knows what's supposed to happen in front of him. So for me, he's like being really impressive. And I think United probably need a player like that to help them go forward. And Lisandro probably has that type of mentality. I was reading today that he fought with Amorim to play and then they ended up making him captain. So he might be the guy that you can build around if he can stay fit.
He's only the captain of
and
the
also
Gallo,
not suspended.
That's the other thing.
Listen, suspensions I'll take, bruh.
We'll put a pin in the Man United talk now, and we're just gonna quickly go over 3 games from the past weekend before we go into the preview. Riaz, can you give me a 2 to 3 minute roundup recap of Man City versus Chelsea? Just a
I'll put
quick
the
one.
timer
What were
on
your
the
thoughts
screen.
about it? Yeah, I got a timer here.
Okay, I'll do less than 3. So a massive game, obviously, just to see where Chelsea kind of fit in the whole championship running situation. They had a terrible first half. City dominated, I would say. Didn't take the opportunities. Haaland obviously hit the bar, and then but they were also playing with Gusto at left back, so it was a bit difficult in that regard. But second half game, Gusto switched to right back, James into the middle, like Siad was saying, and it changed everything. The Lap came on as a striker, and they played so much better. I think with the Lap as the striker and the 3 behind him rotating, rather than Pedro as a striker and then all 4 of them rotating, I think it's easier for just the 3 of them to rotate behind the Lap rather than all 4 of them rotating the whole time. So I think second half they were much better. And a great goal from Tijani, my boy. And Chelsea scraped it there late, but I think they deserved it at the end of the day. But yeah, a good game.
Sia, do you want to add a quick
Under 3
comment?
minutes.
Yeah, I think
Under
Riaz
3
left
minutes.
some seconds there for me. He's spot on. I think it was a fair result considering the stats. And I thought Chelsea did well tactically the way the McFarlane set them up. They wanted City to have the ball. And you can see by the quality of chances City created, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And that was because Chelsea did well. They kept that framework in place, and Reece James just led the group well. And speaking of the Lap, I also wanted the Lap to come on in the second half, but I actually wanted João Pedro to move a little deeper and then to take Cole Palmer off, because Cole Palmer, I don't think, was doing anything. He was terrible in the first half. And I think João Pedro plays better as a second striker anyway, as opposed to someone who leads the line. So, like you're saying, the way they moved was much better in the second half, and I think it was a fair result. I echo what you're saying.
Lovely, lovely. So I'm going to stick with you, Ziad. Arsenal Bournemouth. It was a bit nervy at the end there for you. Ran me through your last 25 minutes there.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, Gabriel wanted a side quest. He wanted to make the game a bit more interesting. Silly pass, but he's always had an error like that in him. He's just been doing it less. But credit to him for going down to the other side of the field and taking the goal back immediately. And then going up 3-1. Game was fairly, under control. And then obviously that stunner from Krupi, fantastic goal. Just a great strike from him. He's a real talent. And then it was a bit of a nervy finish, but I didn't feel like we dropped the points. There was a period in the first half, I think it was the last 20 minutes of the first half, where I thought Bournemouth were exceptional the way they pressed. I think Arsenal missed a trick. The opportunity was there to play the ball quick, to play a bit more direct, especially having Nani, Martinelli and Gyökeres up front. There was opportunities to put the ball over the top and let them run, but instead they just tried to pass through. So that's where we talk about plan B, and Arsenal just don't try to up the tempo when the opportunity presents itself. But other than that, 3 points. We move on to the next game.
Yeah, and I think that 3 points is very important because, I mean, this season, there's been a lot of that never say die attitude. Every time you think Arsenal might be like falling down, they just come back to life from nowhere and they take something out of that. And I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying title like champions are made of. So for your sake, I hope it continues. Jason, last one, Fulham Liverpool. Harrison Reed, he made a name for himself over there. Just talk to us a bit about that.
But what a game, man. Especially with the way that Liverpool scored late on, thinking that they won it. And then Harrison Reed is first goal in 3 years. Harrison Reed scores his first goal in 3 years. And it's one of those. It's actually exceptional. Look, there were some questions about Wirtz's goal.
Lots of questions.
Yeah, I hate the inconsistency about it, but thankfully football won at the end of the day. And what a way. Everybody dreams of, scoring a goal in a final. But sometimes, in the case of Fulham, where, every point counts in terms of staying in the Prem, to win it, and by win it I mean draw, with a goal like that, that's exceptional. They obviously dropped off a bit of quality. Most of their stars are off at AFCON. And as a result, Emil Smith-Rowe can't play without his Niger boys. but yeah, I think Fulham are a very good side when they really click into gear. Yeah, so I think it was a good game. I think it was a great weekend for Arsenal, except maybe Villa winning, but City dropping points, Liverpool dropping points. It kind of does do something for Arsenal's mental, and then also winning it in the way that we did. Yeah, real resilient. So yeah, really happy about the results, man.
Yeah, I like that comment from Ramiz. Never take your jersey off. Nobody wants to see that. Cody Gakpo, he got a bit too excited there at the end. But let's just segue to the preview for Arsenal versus Liverpool tomorrow night. And I'm just going to speak a bit about Florian Wirtz. Like we've spoken now about his offside goal, but he looks like he's starting to build some momentum, some confidence. He's finding the back of the net now. He's got 2 goals. He's got a couple of assists. Unfortunate timing for you guys, maybe Ziad.
Nah, not at all, man. I think they're still using him wrong. I liked when he moved centrally. I thought when Slot made a couple of changes in the second half, he does this really well in the second half of games. But he brought Frimpong on and he kept Bradley, so it allowed Frimpong to attack. And we saw that Gakpo moved a bit more to the left, and that freed up space for Wirtz in the center. And that's where he's effective, and that's where you saw his goal came from a run through the middle. So as long as he doesn't get too many opportunities in the center, I think his influence is very limited. But if he does take up position centrally, then I'd probably worry a bit more. But I don't think he comes centrally enough at the moment to worry me. And that's just the thing with him. He needs to be in the middle somewhere. But yeah, he's starting to show his quality a bit more. But I just don't like when he's camped out on the wing. It doesn't help his skill set or bring out the best in him. And I actually prefer Gakpo out wide coming in, because then he comes into that far post with a late run. He's quite good at that ghosting in. He's good at cutting back onto his right foot. So, that's probably something Liverpool need, especially, I don't know if Ekitike is going to be fit, but they are definitely a much better team with Ekitike through the middle than they are with Gakpo.
So in the event that Ekitike isn't fit, it's probably going to be Gakpo up front again, because for some reasons on a slot he's allergic to Federico Chiesa, and he might be back off to Juventus, judging by the rumors and the reports out there. Are there, besides Florian Wirtz, are there any other players in that Liverpool team that Arsenal might be a bit worried about? Jason, I'm going to put it to you.
Yeah, I think definitely in that central midfield slot, I think depends on where Szoboszlai plays, because he has been pretty influential for them. I think he's always had a great engine, possibly misprofiled in Liverpool's team. Maybe he gets exposed a bit because there's nobody really to cover if he does make those long runs. But yeah, he's got a deceptive pass on him. I think it's maybe not the skill set that people really notice as much, because he's always either playing right back or he's in a transition sort of a phase. But yeah, I think he's probably one of the dangerous players that I'd say. Added to that, I'd possibly say Wirtz, but again, if Wirtz plays central, he seems like a player that does exceptionally well when there's limited space and he doesn't have a lot of time to think. You play him on the left and everything goes central, and then you suddenly go to him. Now he's got acres of space where he needs to carry and then figure out something to do. He seems like a very instinctual player where he grew up probably playing a lot of cage football, where you have to think quickly in tight spaces, and as soon as you go bigger, you kind of the space gets a bit much, So yeah, I think Szoboszlai definitely, but again, he's going to come up against probably the most competitive and complete midfield at the moment. So whether he gets the same space, whether he gets the same thing, I think we have Declan Rice, who's probably definitely putting his hands very high up for Player of the Year. Early shouts, but yeah, just so extremely complete in all the phases of the game. Yeah, I think that engine room is where the game gets won or lost, and then yeah, whether both teams can then bring in their front line quickly and attack. somewhat fragile backlines in certain instances.
Yeah. Diaz, do you think that Liverpool backline is still fragile? They have
Yeah.
looked a bit more like stable, if I can put it very lightly,
Yeah.
over the last like few weeks. Like Van Dijk has looked a bit more like his old self compared to making these like careless mistakes like he was at the starting of the season. But that's definitely something that Arsenal's still going to be targeting, right?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that they are back there to their best at all. I think they were still. I mean, they still League Two. They leak all the time still, which is shocking. It's just the reason why they were winning in the beginning of the season was because they scored more than they leaked. Now, with both strikers being injured, it's a bit more difficult to do that. So yeah, I think the defense, it will still not be at their best, unfortunately for them. And yeah, like Jason was saying, it depends on where Szoboszlai plays as well, because he's the best player, and he's the one that gets caught out, which is such a paradox. It's unbelievable. So yeah, the back line is just it's super crackly, and the key to them winning any game is, I guess, to shut out. Okay, the key to winning any game for anybody is to shut out the team out. But I mean, for them specifically, to get the defenders to play better and to keep that clean sheet is going to be important.
I think the biggest indicator of tomorrow night would be Bukayo Saka up against Milos Kerkez, and judging by Kerkez's form this season, it's going to be over before it begins. But I mean, anything can happen on any day. Like football's a very weird game. We have Jason that's frozen there for a bit. Okay, he's back again. But yeah, like football's a very very funny game, and anything can happen on the day. But I think that tomorrow night's result could be quite straightforward. I'm just gonna go into predictions. Diaz, I'll start with you. Give me the prediction and give me one goal scorer from each team.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the Dukum character this week. So I'll go 2-1 Liverpool, and I will say that. Who do I want to score? I'll say Mika Marino will get a goal for Arsenal, and I think that we'll score for Liverpool. I can't see any of them. I'll go Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai just for the fun of it.
Ziad, let's hear it.
1-1, I reckon.
1-1. And do you have any goal scorers for us?
Yeah, I mean, Riaz, good shout with Marino. I think obviously, we tend to do well with the set pieces, and Liverpool are at the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to set pieces. In terms of defending it, they also fired the set piece coach not too long ago. So, I mean, obviously Gabriel's always in the mix with the opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if a goal comes from like Timber or someone like that. And for Liverpool, it always haunts me, but Alexis McAllister strike is the one that I probably think could somehow happen through the middle there.
Jason, round us off over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna back my boys. I think I should, because we're in a position to actually do something. So yeah, I'm gonna go with I think it might be a 3-1. I think we've shown now that we can create. It's just whether we can. It's not completely foreign. I think 2 seasons ago we actually did beat them 3-1. And in the last 2 games, I think we've scored 2 goals in the home game. I will not. At Anfield is 2-2. So yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1. A goal scorer, I'm gonna go Saka, because I think he will do what he needs to do. Their threat could be from their sit. Yeah, I mean, look, it's fine if he's still chipping in with assists. I'm not mad if we're spreading it around somewhere. Yeah, their threat is probably gonna be by good quality delivery, and I think that's maybe what Szoboszlai is good at. So I'm gonna go with like a Virgil van Dijk, actually, to be honest, as their goal scorer.
I think it's going to be a 2-1 Arsenal. I think the Emirates Stadium is going to be up for it. They know what's at stake over here. They know it's a big game. They know that 3 points over here goes a long way in what they're trying to achieve. So the stadium's going to be up for it. Bukayo Saka, I think he gets the winner. And yeah, from Liverpool side, I think Wirtz might just continue a bit of a streak over there. But yeah, it's going to be to no avail because they will be losing the game. And yeah, that is all for us tonight. Just over an hour. Unfortunately, I didn't get my hour that I was aiming for, but we will try next time. Thank you to
Not when
everybody
I'm
who
hosting.
joined us in the chat. The chat was quite lively, so thank you guys for coming through. Thank you guys for all of your input and your opinions. Thanks to you guys, Ziad, Jason, and Riaz for joining me tonight. Ziad, anything that you can tell us about the socials?
Yeah, the usual spots, on all the platforms. We're doing all the sports NFL playoffs coming up. Quite exciting. We've got the AFCON quarterfinals coming up, so a lot happening. So yeah, exciting times.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Like, give us a follow on all social media platforms to stay up to date with what Ziad is doing over there. Riaz, talk to us about what you are up to on any of the socials. Anything coming? Anything that you can get us hyped and excited about?
Yeah, maybe we can try and get some NFL content out there. I hope. I'm not sure how yet, but we're going to be working on it. And I guess the Rumble is soon, AF. So if you want to do something for the Rumble, we can do that as well.
I'm
But
waiting for
yeah,
your green light, man, and I will be there.
yeah. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, follow the channel. Give this video a like if you're watching right now. We would massively appreciate it. And yeah, follow us on all social media platforms if you wouldn't mind.
Jason, what are the people looking for your socials for?
Yo, guy, I think it's just going to be footy. There's just so many games in such a quick turnaround time in different competitions as well. So definitely stuff to look out for. Yeah, I'm going to try and get into more of a golf following this year. So if you do follow golf and you do like to interact and you like to share some pointers, we've obviously got season 2 of Tigers Golf League that's underway. Yeah, there's some movement, and yeah, I'm going to try and be a bit more active with that. But for the most part, games are coming thick and fast. Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao for those that are still in it. So yeah, I'll be following that.
Love that. Love that. With me, I'm just going to be tweeting about Man United and whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be our permanent manager again.
Always at
And
the
you can
wheel.
find me crying over there for the second time in 3 years. I think it's been since he was sacked. But yeah, on top of that, also there's a lot of pop culture things happening. A lot of Avengers Doomsday trailers coming out. So I am giving my opinion on all of those things. I'll start making some videos on my personal channel for those again this year. So yeah, keep an eye out for those. But yeah, that is all from us over here. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. once again. And yeah, I'm AF4343. Catch you guys next time. Cheers.